Are we all okay with groups now? Have we either found our groups that we made or just figured it out? You guys are good problem solvers. We made new groups, but if you don't have it, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll hand select groups next time or something. To break. Now, what you're realizing is all because probability is slim doesn't mean it can't happen. Like, what are the chances that you and Bougainville end up on the same team every time? Well, we could calculate that. I love when people say, like, oh, what are the chances? And I, under my breath, are like, I can calculate that. People get annoyed because they don't want to actually know the answer. They just want to say the expression of speech, but then I make it mathy. And Mike is here. This is why what? Everyone hates me? You are right. That is why all my friends roll their eyes at me. Were you?
Yeah,
Were you
because
planning to
my
go to
mom
Florida?
no, she came home and she was talking about her students because she's a teacher at Indianola, and she said her students were saying, like, she told them the answer, and then they got it wrong, and they said, but I did it a different way. And she's like, yeah, but it's not right.
Well, did they get the answer wrong or the process wrong?
Well, like, they did
Well,
it
their
a
answer was
different
wrong.
way
They didn't
than
get to
hers,
Florida.
and the answer was not correct. I
Then
said,
they
it's
didn't
just
get to
like
Florida.
Mr. Hudson said, there's a million ways to get to Florida, but if you land in Wisconsin, you're not in Florida.
I love it. That's really, really far off, too. I'm bad with geography. I even know Wisconsin. You totally missed Florida. So this paper is going to be utilized starting in 4.1.2. So please go ahead and put your name at the top. And notice it says from Monday, from Tuesday, from Wednesday, from Thursday, from Friday. This is going to be a homework feedback form, so I can get some communication, even if I don't check your math journal, because I don't want to take your math journal all the time. So I can get some communication on what you're doing well and what is a struggle. Some of you, and I'm making that as a broad statement, like between all of my math classes, some people got progressings on their math journals because even though we spent 2 days taking questions at the end of the chapter, there were still questions unanswered in homework saying, I don't know, I need help, I should ask for help, I just don't get this. Guys, when I stop for 2 days and take questions on anything, that is unacceptable. Like, it's just unacceptable to still have things that you are going to say you still don't understand when I was begging. The only thing I didn't do was get on my knees to beg. Begging for questions. And you still turn stuff in with, I don't know, I can't figure this. That's unacceptable. So realize that as we move forward, please don't, come on, you're in class. As we move forward, the expectations are going to continue to ratchet up a little bit. So that's where this comes in. I need to know on a weekly basis what you might still be struggling on, even if we went over it, even if I gave you the answer, whatever. So we are going to start classes now by just running through the answers to the homework. I'll say, all right, 1 was this, 2 was that, 3 was this. So right now, because the homework is 16 through 20, you can go ahead and from Monday, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, you'll still have a box left over. Then, now if you know, if you use the homework help or something else and you know you got it right, then you can go ahead and check that. But as we go through the homework to check them, you're going to all you need on this is checks or X's or whatever of whether you got it right or wrong. And then regardless of whether you got it right or wrong, do you understand it now or is it still confusing? If something's still confusing, that's what I really care about, right? Because we need to go back and revisit that. So that's where these will come into play. Cool? Make sense? Here's the hardest part. Don't lose this. I'm serious. That's the hardest part. Don't lose this. It's just a piece of paper. Now, in the future, I'll try to run the copies on colored paper so that it's obvious and stands out. I didn't think about that. So I don't always engage in that until I think they're going to lose this, right? How do I stop that from happening? I realized I should have ran these on color. Questions? Please do not write homework for Bilal on the top of this. They will confuse the crap out of me. It was you who had that in your math journal. Somebody had that at the top of one of their homeworks.
I think I might have
That was a lie. Now the next thing. We we are in quarter 2 now, which means we have made it 25% of the year. Yes. So, Ava, no worries. You're a quarter of the way through surviving. Everyone said that's what everybody hates. Which, by the way, that's a strong word. You can say that people roll their eyes near there. No, it hurts. All right. So, with that, here's my advice. Switch math journals. Some of you, now you don't have to do this right now, and today we'll probably be mainly working in the toolkit. I doubt you'll need your math journal. Some of your math journals are, for a lack of better words, yeah, I was trying to use nice words, but you've improved since the beginning of the year. But you still might have some paper shoved in there, or taped in there, or glued in there. You bought 4 journals specifically for math. Even if you didn't, and you would like to start a new journal, I have a bajillion. I'm still trying to figure out how to spell that. There are more behind this. There are stacks and stacks of journals up here. So if you need a journal, come and get one from me if you don't have one. You don't have to start a new journal. Some people got like a multiple subject journal or whatever. You don't have to start a new one. But if you don't start a new one, I am going to ask you like somehow put a post-it or something like here was quarter 1 work or a paper clip or something, and we're switching into quarter 2 to kind of section out your journals. What we really want is 4 journals, so 4 quarters, and you can go back and look at here's my quarter 1 journal, here was my quarter 2 journal, and look at the growth that you've made. How you take notes differently, how your math was different. So we're really looking to see growth. Does that make sense? You can change if you want to. I would prefer that you change, but it's all up to you. Who can tell me the danger if you change journals? Something that we did all together at the beginning of the year and we wouldn't be doing now. Naya? What did you say? Well, yeah, losing it. Taylor? Or Izzy, sorry.
Putting
Brain
your name
fog. Yeah, everything that goes on the front. So you can't just switch journals and just start working. Please make sure you have first name, last name, letter group, all that good jazz. And you can put like Hudson's Math or whatever. I've had things delivered back to me, which is efficient when they say Hudson's Math. Any other questions about organizational things, homework feedback forms? So here's the other thing that I'm surprised nobody's asked about. Homework 4.1.1 was in this past math journal, right? I'm never going to check that. So if you keep working in the same math journal, sweet, that's great. But if you go into a new one, don't worry about 4.1.1 being in the old math journal. I'm going to start the next journal check at 4.1.2. Okay, so don't worry about 4.1. Any other questions before we dive in?
Jillian spelled with a J.
A J, not a J. Yeah, see, I saw it with a J the other day, and I couldn't tell if it was right.
That's how I've always
So, Ohio, right? It's not that big, right? It fits on this page. So, how do these things work? By the way, this is where I'm from. I have a few random things marked on here. If you want to mark anything else, you can put arrows. How's not supposed to or stick it in my vision? By the way, if you have not, that's not your class. If you have not turned in your math journal, you have through today to get it turned in. I'm going to post grades in math probably tomorrow morning, like just so you guys don't get hit with it this evening. But when I do work in the morning before you guys show up, I'll probably post the grades then. So please turn them in today if you have not turned them in. I think most of you turned them in for this past check. Why does that work? Why does Ohio fit on a piece of paper, although we know it's actually quite larger? Al?
Because they had to scale Ohio down so that it could well fit.
Now, I like what you said. They had to scale Ohio down so it fit on the piece of paper. What if they scaled it up? Ooh. So now we brought in a new word. It was zoom in. So when you say we scaled down, you're talking about zooming out then, I guess? Anyone see the gifts that we gave to the visitors from Sion?
Oh, yeah.
So we took an Ohio outline but zoomed it in to Phoenix. So here's the outline of our state, but we're going to zoom in on Phoenix. That's a scale representation. Every map has a scale, and what's cool is on Google, as you zoom, the scale changes, and it tells you what the scale is, so you could always print it. A lot of maps, we use a scale like this. 1 inch is so many whatever. Kilometers, miles, feet, however far it decides to go. when you measure in inches, it will, or centimeters, some will use a metric scale, and it will tell you how far. So, if I measure 5 inches, I would know that's 5 times 5 miles. I'd actually have 25 miles. So, let's suppose, anyone want to try to pronounce that name? I think Ulayla. Ulayla? Because like ukulele, Ulayla. Ulayla. So, Ulayla uses a map of Pennsylvania to determine Valley Forge is 14 miles from downtown Philly. Did she really measure 14 miles? We're all bright people. Anyone want to talk about did she measure 14 miles?
I don't.
Piper, you kind of raised your hand. Did she measure 14 miles?
No.
What'd she measure?
She measured using a scale, probably. It was a scale gun. She measured in inches or whatever unit they used, and she compared it to miles.
Yeah, she probably measured something in inches. I doubt she measured in feet.
She could
Maps.
have used miles. That just probably would be very unintelligent.
And what measuring tool do we have that would measure miles? I don't know of any.
25 million
We do have really sweet wheels that have digital counters that as you roll the wheel, it will tell you on a screen how far you've gone, so that's really sweet. It knows how big the wheel is. So every time you spin, it knows what distance you traveled. So it's like how your car knows how fast you're going. So they use the circumference and they do a quick little calculation. So let's look at Guillermo needing a scale drawing of his house placed on its suburban lot. So the house is 56 feet wide, or the lot, sorry, is 56 feet wide, 100 feet deep. So 56 feet wide, 100 feet deep. The garage is 20 feet back from the street. He has to sketch, or he has a sketch of his house not drawn to scale. Well, yeah, if it would be drawn to scale, it would be the size of the thing. So, like, if you were trying to draw a picture of a fish, you could draw that to scale. But if you're trying to draw a picture of a car, I doubt you would draw it to scale. So, if you don't have graph paper, well, you should because of the toolkit. So open your toolkit to chapter 4. You should still have plenty of space in there. Get to one of those graph paper pages. Now we gotta choose a scale, right? So I'm gonna pop over to my graph paper that I have. I might actually. Yeah, I'm going to open my toolkit box with you. I'm pretty close. So, we want to be able to draw the whole thing. Right? We know 56 feet, 100 feet, garage is 20 feet back, 1738 there. We've got some dimensions over here. When we go to our graph paper, the first thing we have to ask ourselves is if I'm going to start drawing with these boxes, how far is that? Well, that's going to be, whatever based on your paper. Normally a 1/4 inch or a 1/5 of an inch is how big graph paper goes. But we can just draw the line and say, okay, that distance is going to represent whatever we want it to. What do we want it to represent? If we've got 100 feet deep that we need to represent, 56 feet wide that we need to represent, we need to scale this down, shrink it down so it fits on my page. So what if I did like every box was, let's play with this, right? What if every box is 2 feet? How many boxes will I need to show the whole lot's depth? 50. Oh, crap. That's a lot of boxes. Alex?
You can make the boxes 4 inches, like 4 feet actually.
4 feet? Ooh, some people are saying 5.
Yeah, 5.
Hold on.
It can't be 5 because 56 isn't divisible by.
Now, that doesn't mean it can't be, it just gets awkward, right? So I totally get why you chose 4. Alex found a common divisor, right? A common factor, something that 56 and 100 can both divide by. But if we use 5, then I can use less boxes, right? Or 6, or 8, or 10. The bigger the scale that I use, the less page that I'll use. So if we try this with 5 feet, then my lot being 56 feet wide would be how many boxes wide? Is he? 56 feet. If each box was 5, 11 and a little, let's go to the next one, right?
It'd be 11 and 1/5.
11 and 1/5. All right, so let's start trying to draw this then. So I'm going to make my corner right up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and a 5th. And we can label that 56 feet. We have our scale over here. Normally on maps or things, it will tell you, hey, here is your scale. How many boxes tall or deep will the lot need to represent it? 20. So that's going to be annoying on my screen, I think. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, on my screen, I'm going to totally run out of space. I should have chosen a different scale. Or I wish I could just zoom this out. That's 10. 5. Copy that one. And that. Can you fit? If you can't fit, we'll have to change our scale.
No, I can't.
Yeah, I can't fit.
Depends on where you started.
I started near the bottom.
That doesn't work.
So I'm actually going to change my scale because I don't want to scroll back and forth. And your scale is determined by you, right? I'm going to make my scale that one box is 10 feet. Now, it's going to look the same as your drawing. Mine's just going to be smaller, right? So it's going to look the same, just be smaller. 10 feet. Right, so there's my lot. 56 feet wide. Now I actually fit. 100 feet deep. Shoot. What, where, like, how, so that's my box to my lot, right? The lot is the property itself. How can I start drawing the house? How do I know where to start drawing the house? What information does it tell? Like, has anyone started drawing their house, or do you just have the rectangle? Zen?
Well, because it shows that the perimeter of the house is like within the rectangle.
Oh yeah, you got it. Your house better be on your property.
Well, yeah, right. So yeah, so you have to start within the your
But
property.
where? Like just wherever?
No, you have to make sure, kind of like what you're talking about. You have to make sure it fits, because like
Okay.
how you're saying, if it fits on our paper, like it depends on where you put it. We have to make sure that the whole thing stays within that.
Annie?
Okay, so you highlighted up there. It says the garage is 20 feet back from the street.
The garage. The garage is 20 feet back. Okay, great. So I know where the edge of it is, right? If each of these is 10, my edge would be right here. That only helps me so much. What else do we need to pull in? Ooh, bouncing over here.
It says that it's 8 feet. Like the house is 8 feet.
Between the edge of the property and the edge of the garage, there's 8 feet. Between the edge of the front of the property and the garage, there's 20. So I go in 20 feet and then over 8 feet. Remember, this was that little extra beyond the 50. So that's actually 6 feet. That should be bumped over a tiny bit if I were being accurate. My apologies. This would really be over here probably. So that's 6 feet. 7, 8, probably about there. I wish I could get rid of this one original line. Nope, cannot. Yeah, I will. I'll drag that over there. Oh, might as well just, put it over there if I don't need it.
How about you leave it?
Now, how wide will I make it is determined by your scale. My scale of 10 feet, 15-foot wide garage, my garage only has a width of 1.5 boxes here. So 1 box, another half box. There's my garage width. Notice my scale of 10 feet is kind of hard to draw with because it's a big scale. I mean, if you shift it over, about a box, a little over 1.5 boxes. So 15 feet, 1.5 boxes. Then, same thing as we start the depths, right? If I start off the corner of the garage, do I know how deep the entire house is?
100 feet.
That's how deep the property is. How deep is the house, including the garage?
Oh,
17 and
38.
38, which comes out 55. So I need to go then 5.5 boxes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the entire depth of the house. So backyard. The entire width of the house, 30. That's getting those pretty easily. So 3 boxes wide there. 1, 2, and 3.
Good morning, Ella Grindle. Please come to the office. Ella Grindle, please come to the office. Thank you.
Forgetting about the garage, how deep is just the house? 38. So on my scale, 1 box, 2 boxes, almost, 3, and then another extra. And then I know where this goes, and I can just line these things up. Their drawing wasn't to scale. They just labeled a bunch of distances. Please catch up. I know I went a little quick, but if you need to catch up, please catch up. This will accurately show us the sizing. Their drawing gave us dimensions, but it didn't look right. They hadn't drawn it correctly. Notice how the 17 feet and the 38 feet essentially look to be the same on their drawing. Compare, I'll try to get this side by side, see if I can make this happen. Compare this drawing to this drawing. Right, this 38, looks to essentially be the same as that 17. Right, this 30, wait. This is 30 feet across, and this is 38 feet, yet this is smaller than that? This is so broken. Like, what? This doesn't make any sense, right? This drawing is pretty much trash. Like, it gives dimensions. It's purposeful for the fact that it tells me dimensions, but it doesn't look right at all. You ever ask a friend to draw something where you're like, well, that doesn't look right, or they're like, oh, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it does. When your brain looks at something and tries to figure stuff out, this 30 feet cannot be longer than 38. That doesn't make any sense. It's not Bizarro. So, now, my 30 feet across and 38 feet deep, this is longer than this, and it's obvious, and it looks correct. Does this make sense? Any questions left from Guillermo's drawing? So, Guillermo wants to install a pool. Who doesn't want a pool, right? So Guillermo wants a pool in his backyard. What's the biggest pool that you would advise? So talk with your team right now, because there's not a right and wrong answer. What's the biggest pool that you would advise him to get?
5 million feet.
Then I want you to answer the question, what would be the size of the pool that if you trip out the back door, you're in the water? Because that means you could, right? You could build the pool right up against the edge of the house.
That would be nice. I got it. Okay, on the 5 scale.
Now, who doesn't want a pool is what I said. Like, everybody wants it.
On the well, I'm not dumb. I never said you were. Yes, I did. I said that. But that's the space around. That would be what pool here?
So we know the width, right? He could stretch the entire width of the lot. How wide is his lot? 56. So if we really wanted to take the whole width of the lot, we could do 56 feet. Then went around the corner of the house like a kidney bean.
The whole thing. I went over there and went down towards the garage.
But what is the distance from his back door to the edge of the property? That's the question. What's the distance from the back door to the edge of the property? Anybody?
25 feet.
What is it?
25.
25? How'd you figure that out?
Well, mine scales to 5, and it has 5 blocks, so it'd be 25.
So you had it based off your scale drawing, your blocks, right? If my scale is 10 feet, and I have 2 and about a half, I know it's about 25. I can do the math and say this was 20 feet, right? 20 feet to get to the garage. Then the house was, we said, 55 together. Then I'll make 75 feet, leaving me with a leftover 25. The scale drawing makes it real nice and easy, but we would not probably advise that he get the pool that big or that's kind of excessive. You trip out the back door and your hamburgers are now floating in the water.
No, or there's like a little pathway, like a little.
Like a bridge, like a drawbridge.
No, like a boat. What is it called?
A flotilla?
A moat? Like a
A
moat?
dock.
I'm doing it.
Like there's a dock
Yeah.
up there, and it can have your neighbors. But it'll go in the water.
That would be
Unless
good.
you're basically
All right,
in the
questions?
water. You can put it in the front yard. Yeah, I know.
Right here would be a nice place like a square pool. But nobody wants it in the front yard. Then your neighbors are watching you and it's awkward.
No, and then people use
But you can ask your neighbor, like, put sunscreen on your back. Hey, can you help me out with this?
And then people come by and use it.
All right, check this out. 413. I'll bring it back onto this screen for the time being. So we've got this layout. Oh, come on. Get out of here. Come on.
Come on.
We've got this layout for the first floor of a house. The actual dimensions of the garage are 20 feet by 25 feet. Everything that looks like a right angle is a right angle. Excuse me. So, answer A through D as a team, please. And D is like the realistic problems that my friends are constantly asking me to help them with. So try this out. A through D, I'll give you 2 minutes.
Why did you ask you about this question?
Because I know math and I have a degree in math and they want me to help with their house project. You have to understand how to solve the problem. It's not just punch it in a calculator. You have to know what you're calculating. Solve the problem. That is a different house than what you were just looking at.
I don't know. Why? It's 15.
Well, it's laid out now when you started. We compare that house to the house that we were just working with. This is the garage in the front of the
Area
house.
of the garage.
We're just solving
How many?
I get that, but that's probably why you're confused. This now is totally different. I know that you see the person sticking out to the front and you think that's like it's a different house. Well, we got to figure out the actual dimensions of it.
No.
Yeah, look.
Because this whole thing.
How we doing? We're talking about a spirit animal. I don't think that's on. Okay, let's get back on topic. So, we're trying to figure out what the scale is, like what does it represent.
This is the actual dimension of the garage.
That's for you.
that's okay.
The 20 by 25.
Okay,
That's your first question. Which is 20? Which is 25?
okay, yeah, you're right. I didn't know how.
Be careful. This is starting to run. You want to cut this.
25 feet. No, it's 20. Oh, okay. Well,
I just don't want you to get caught on All right, now I was talking with a group and they said, well, the first thing we have to decide is which is which. Right, 20 by 25, is this the 20 or is this the 20? How do we figure that out? Deer? The longer measured has to be the longer actual. So, which is the longer measured? The 1 1/4, which, because that's 25, I'm going to shy away from that, come over here and say, well, that means this is 20, which tells me that 1 inch equals 20 feet. So my scale must be 1 inch equals 20 feet. So then, so what are the length and width of the living room on the scale? So if this is 2 inches wide, how long is the actual? Then 40 feet, because we do 2 times the 20. And what is the other dimension, Izzy? Actual, not measured, actual. How do you know? It's the same as the garage. So it's gotta be 25. Now we get into the application math. I was just doing this weekend, helping a buddy tile a floor. So if we want to lay carpet and it costs $1.25 per square foot, how do I figure out square footage? What is this really talking about? A lot of deer. Zing's done, he's out.
That's my job, Oliver.
Alright. What is square feet? What's that talking about? Area, right? Ava, how do we calculate area? You look like you're trying to take a nap. I gotta pick on you. Ooh, that would be volume. We don't want to fill the whole room with carpet. So exactly what Ava said. 40 times 25. Now stop. Make this easy. Break your 40 up. Make it 10. What's 10 times 25? 250. Now quadruple that. 1,000. Right? So our area is 1,000 feet squared. And if it costs $1.25 per square foot, you just gotta multiply these values. How much is this gonna cost them? 1,000 times any. You just move the decimal. So multiplication by tens, right? Our trick when multiplying with tens, shift the decimal however far. I can't really move the screen, I guess. Shift the decimal however many zeros you have. Times 10 moves it 1 place. Times 100 moves it 2 places. Times 1,000 moves it 3 places, which comes out to mean 1,000 feet will cost us
$1,250.
Thank you very much for that. $1,250. I would not pay that much for carpet. But this is why when I tell you guys the stories about when I'm helping my friends with hardwood floors or whatever, To pay somebody to do it is like really expensive. To do it on your own takes a bit of math, a bit of skill, some time, willingness to get messy and tired and whatever. But you can save a lot of money. $1,000 for carpet? I think carpet's gross, but that's because I have dogs. And we had fleas once. God, you never want to have fleas with carpet. It's gross.
That's why my parents won't get carpet.
Because then you like know that they're living in the carpet.
That's why we won't have carpets or dogs.
All right, my smart word. All right, my smart word is choosing to not agree. Move on to the next one. I'm trying to get this captured really quickly. Why do you keep doing this?
40 by 25. Okay.
You don't have a ruler. Grab one really quickly. You know where things are. I don't even know what you're saying, but let's focus. Now, this used to be easier to teach because before everyone had cell phones and everything else, most of us had at least seen a map or an atlas at some point. So, back in the old day, when I would be very excited that my parents were planning a vacation, I'd know that they were getting serious when they pulled out the atlas and not joking with the ruler. Because back before MapQuest and Google Maps and everything, and MapQuest was still like, it was okay. But you'd want to figure out how far you were thinking. So if we're debating going to Florida versus going to California, I can very quickly on the map see which is closer. But if I want to start to actually calculate things, I pull out my ruler, and I check the scale, and I figure it out. I calculate it. So I need you guys to measure and then compute how far is it going to be from Sentinel Fall to Sentinel Dome. Now you're going to need a book because you have to measure, right? So you have to, if you're one of those groups trying to say we don't need a book, you have to have a book open for this. Now, they have given you distance in kilometers on the map, distance in miles on the map, but they have not given you anything telling you measured distance, right? So we are left to take our ruler, and this one clear is better. I see your non-clear ruler, clear is better in this situation. To stick on top and figure out, well, 1 inch, what does that line up with? What does 1 inch line up with? When I put my ruler on top here, I start my 0 at my 0. Where does the 1 inch mark fall? Ian, you got it? Then why are you just back here smacking the ruler in your hand if you haven't figured it out? Yeah, where does 1 inch fall when I line it up on here?
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to tell me what 0.5
So we'll get there. If I look for 1 inch, where does it fall? On that fourth tick mark, right?
Yeah.
1 inch should land at 0.4 miles. Now that's not what they ask, right? What they ask is how many inches equal half a mile. So if we measure to the half mile, we figure out how many inches it's going to be more than 1, right? We know that. But if I line up my zeros, please do this with me. I see those of you just screwing around and not doing this. Because we don't work with rulers a ton. We want to make sure that you know the precision of those markings. It's 1 and how much?
1 and 5.
So it's 1.5 inches.
No, it's
No.
1/4. It's
No.
1
Not below.
Now, depending on your ruler, will depend on the accuracy that it has.
I mean,
It's 1 1/4 of an inch.
yeah, that.
So we could then make this slightly easier. What if instead of talking about a half mile, I want to talk about 1 mile? Then it's just 2.5, because I doubled both, be careful, and that would be slightly easier to work with. What I think is easiest to work with is the one, like reference back to 1 inch. Because then however many inches you have, you just multiply by 0.4. So measure, what's the measured distance from here? We're going to go how the crow flies. If we can hike it straight. You can take a straight line distance. What's the measured distance between them? Okay, so approximate it. 1 and... Those of you not working, I can see us not working. What's the measured distance between Sentinel Fall and Sentinel Dome? Yeah, if we round, we could go 1 3/4. So if we round, we could go 1 3/4. Notice, what if I break up 1 inch into quarter inches? What would a quarter inch then mean on the map? Anybody? 0.1 of a mile. So, I'm out of time. We're going to pick this back up here tomorrow, and we may end up making this a 2-day lesson, or we may quickly finish up. This, really, we only have 4-15 to finish, and we don't really need to. So you're fine to start your homework. We're going to go over the answers to that tomorrow. Please make sure you don't lose that homework feedback form. But you're fine to start the homework. You guys are good on scales. This is just some playing of how we can figure out how it's most useful. This is really, really useful. The quarter inch equals a tenth of a mile. That's super good. That's nice. It works out. All right. Have a great day, guys. Thank you. Thank you. If you're listening to Yoda, there's no try. There's only do.